Live from the City of Angels. It's Sunday night. You are watching MMT Midnight Movie Talk. Here we go. New track from Romain Garcia. Heard this on Above and Beyond show, and I was like, this is a tune right here. This is breakdown. We got a big night tonight. We're going to talk about SNL 50. I watched a little bit of that before the stream. BAFTAs. Which film is going to win Best Picture? We'll talk about that. Paddington in Peru, live MMT evaluation on the way. If you're watching the replay and you don't hear any music, it's because I was forced to strip it out. Sometimes they hit me with like a copyright. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to like promote your music. Just let me do it. Thanks for being here as always, live from the City of Angels. It's time to get going. Let's go straight up to our number one story tonight. And look who is back. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were at SNL 50 tonight, and there they are. And let me tell you, I am advising them now, as you guys know. I mean, imaginarily, I am advising them. But this is exactly what I tell them to do. Whatever you think of the situation, you have to not show weakness. And they have been in hiding. And tonight, they finally decided to come back out and play at SNL 50. In fact, actually, you're going to see in a second, I'm going to show it to you. Ryan Reynolds was game for having the situation made fun of. Let's just watch that, and then we'll talk about why this is so important, what happened here tonight. For the court of public opinion, this was a really smart play. Here is Ryan Reynolds getting up and addressing the audience with Polar and Faye.
Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Perfect, right? How you doing? Great. Why? What have you heard? He's very good. Okay. I don't care if you think that I am a shill for Ryan Reynolds. The guy's got talent. Okay. Let's not be silly. Let's not be petty. Let's just be honest with one another. The guy's good. Okay. Yes, he's the same person in every movie, essentially. But he is really strong at that Val Kilmer real genius, top secret, right? He basically stole that persona and uses that for his entire career, and it's made him a lot of money. So why is this important that they're there? Because you want to show that you are not losing the war of public opinion. They are. And this was a big step. So we talked about what has to happen here, and it looks like this is going to go to court. We'll talk about it later in the show. I just wanted to lead with this because this is my kind of play, right? If I'm advising them, I'm like, you guys go. I know that you are uncomfortable. I get it. Everyone's looking at you. But Ryan, let's have some fun with the situation. It's exactly what happened. Bingo. I love it. Here we go. Let's move on to topic number 2 here tonight. Oscar's Best Picture favorite. We thought it was Anora until we had the BAFTAs today. And I didn't get a chance to watch, as you guys know, the time difference between here in Los Angeles and the UK, plus 8 hours. I was playing my Sunday beach volleyball, and therefore I did not watch any of it. So I am right now going to live react to this every category in the film awards. Thank God we don't have any television. I don't have to bother with that. And I do know what won Best Film. So that's why we're talking about this, because if it was a Nora, I'd probably be like, let's just not even talk about the situation. But because another film won, we will discuss it in depth here tonight on MMT. Thanks for being here. If you're on X or YouTube, Midnight Movie Talk, thanks for being here. If you want to comment, you have to go to YouTube, Midnight Movie Talk, and plug a comment in. Gone Girl on the producing tonight. So if he sees something that he likes, he'll pop it up. If I don't get to it, I'll try to get to it at the end with the comment blowout as we wrap the show. Adapted screenplay, the winner was Conclave, and you'll see later in the night, even bigger winner. Animated film, Wallace and Gromit. Makes sense. It's British production. Best film, it's right here. Let's just do it, Conclave. So really, you're talking about, I believe, 3 films have a chance to win Best Picture, right? Anora, Conclave, and A Complete Unknown. Those are your 3. So if you're to ask me tonight what's going to win, I pray it's A Complete Unknown because that's my favorite of the 3, no contest. Then I would rank Conclave. Then I would have Anora like in the 20th spot out of 10 films. It's not even, it's in my worst films of the year, right? It's not even in my top 10. So it's not even going to register, but I can't argue that it has PGA, DGA, Critics' Choice, all this shit going for it, okay? So it was nice and refreshing to see Conclave win. What does that mean as far as BAFTA's best film? What has happened, let's say, over the past decade? We'll do that in a second. We'll go back from like 2016. Let's start there and go all the way up until now, and you'll see that it doesn't often overlap. Right? The best film at BAFTA is not typically the best picture winner. There's been some good calls by BAFTA, and I think even better calls, though, overall by the Oscars, outside of a few, and you know what I'm talking about. We'll get to it in a minute. British short animation, no one cares. Short film doesn't care. Casting Anora, I mean, they had to get the Yakov Smirnoff kid, so there is some work there. Children's and family film, Wallace and Gromit again. Cinematography, The Brutalist, good call. One of that really great elements of that film, along with score and Adrian Brody. So those are the elements. And direction, right? I mean, every film here is well directed. You look at A Burger, in Conclave, and listen, I think that, and I know you're going to like lose it when I tell you this, but if you've been paying attention, you guys know I did not say Sean Baker can't direct a film. His films are very well directed. I like the grounded feel. I like his edits. I like a lot of what he does. I just don't like his writing, right? 2 different skills. How many times we got to talk about that? There's directing, there's writing. They're not the same, okay? Very few can do both. You go back, I always mention this, so here it is again. You go back and you look at The Social Network. It was that sandwich of the Fincher direction and the Sorkin screenplay, right? So that is why that film is a masterpiece, because you've got 2 people doing the best thing they do, direction and writing. Sean Baker is a director. He's not a writer. He's a very poor writer, okay? I'm not going to get angry tonight. Look, wow, Weber's remarkably chill talking about Anora because it didn't win. If it won, I would probably be yelling right now, but it didn't win tonight. That's why we're in a good mood. Wicked, costume design, sure, why not? I mean, that or a period piece. Director, Corbet, Brutalist, I like that. Good call. He would be my pick if you were to ask me, you know, listen, I'd have Mangold there too. I told you guys, one of the best directed films of the year is A Complete Unknown. No question. It's right there. And isn't it interesting that DGA gave him a nomination when everyone else was like, oh, I'm surprised. Dudes, I'm good. I call this. It's very easy to see. Anora doesn't make any sense. 0%. I don't know what happened, except it won Palm, right? And once it gets anointed the winner of Cannes, then you're just done. It's preordained. It's going to be a Best Picture, nominee at a minimum, and then we can take it further, way further than it ever should have gotten. So I really blame this on Greta Gerwig and that jury. I mean, wow. Just wow. I'm telling you, if I was in the jury room during deliberations and they were like, we're going to either pick the substance or we're going to pick Anora, and they went with Anora, I would resign and I would have a press release that says I will not be part of this group if this is what we're doing. Oh, you guys know I'm not playing around. I told you guys, if I go to a studio and they hire me and they're like, hey, we want you to be head of creative, you're going to come in here and figure out what scripts work and what don't, and you're going to say this cut is good and this is bad. If anyone gave me any shit, as I've talked about a million times, and I know I'm 100% right, I'm like, okay, here's the deal. Either you're going to go with what I'm saying or I'm walking out of here. So I don't care. That's the thing is, I'm not going to play games here. I'm not standing in support of you guys naming Anora the best picture of this festival, especially when I got the substance right here. There's no way. I'm walking out of here. Goodbye. Take me off the list. I was never on the jury. Editing, Conclave. Listen, Conclave's very overrated. I do not hate the film. It's a C+ for me. Direction's fine. Editing, yes, right. But again, I'd go Brutalist editing. You go look at some of the films that we've seen that excel in editing this year, like September 5th. Sep 5 is some hella good editing, okay? And I know that it really deserves to be in that discussion. The problem with editing is that when it comes down to a film that is not in the best film race, here there's only 5 films at BAFTA, the chances of you winning editing are 0. Even though I will tell you this, you guys know I would have a film that wasn't anywhere else but editing, right? I would have a film picked that was not anywhere else but cinematography or score because, again, we're talking about the one element. Right, go back every stream. I got to bring it up. I've moved it right here. You can see it. It's right over the side of my right shoulder on your left-hand side of the screen. Empire of Light. Empire of Light score. Reznor Ross, the best score of that year. 21 or 22. It was the best score. Didn't even make the short list. Didn't win. But that's what I'm saying. That was the best score of the year. And that's what I'm saying. You have to be able to do those things. Rising Star Award. David Johnson. I believe that's the kid from Alien Romulus, right? He was so good. I would put him up in supporting for that film. That is him, right? I'm pretty sure that's him. It's been forever since I've said that kid's name because this Romulus was like 7 years ago, it feels like. Film not in the English language. Emilia Perez. Again, Emilia Perez, not a bad film. Nope. You guys are wrong. Emilia Perez is way better than Nora. Screenplay? 100%. Yeah, that one song is bad, right? It's like Little Mermaid. The song... when the crab's on the bed, Awkwafina's doing the rap, you're like, holy shit, this is terrible. But you got to remember, you can extract that. Let's just get rid of that scene. Okay, now you're going to say, what about Babylon? Because here's the thing, right? Babylon's different. Babylon, everything's shit. You got 2 good scenes in the middle. I can't extract 2 scenes and say the movie's good. There's 2 good scenes. What about the dumpster fire around them? That's the issue, right? So if there's 1 bad scene in a movie, you can forgive that. If there's 10 bad scenes or 50 bad scenes, like the edits at the end of Babylon when he's in the theater, you're like, what am I watching? Who put this together? I'm firmly convinced that Chazelle was smoking crack when he made that movie. He was definitely snorting shit. There's no question. You can just see it in the film. Like, who did this? A drug addict? This is terrible. What a bad film. Except for those 2 scenes. But again, the roller coaster of you never know what you're going to get. That's the thing with Babylon, and that's why the film's bad. Overall, it's total disaster. One of the worst films of the past 5 years, without question. It's not even up for debate. None. Okay? So you're either on the right side of history or not. Pretty simple. Anora isn't... The thing about Anora is it's not tonally bad. It's just totally bad. Right? That's not the same. It's just totally awful. It's not a tone issue. The tone's the same. Raging bitch, throwing out F-bombs, and the mafia yelling back F-bombs at her. Good God, this is a best screenplay? Give me a break. Leading actor, Brody, of course, that makes sense. Mikey Madison, I don't mind. Hey, listen, Madison can win leading actress. I don't care. As long as the film doesn't win anything for screenplay and film and director, I'm good. I'm good with Anora. I can just let one go, okay? And Mikey's one note. I mean, Demi Moore has a much harder role to play. Mikey Madison has to be a bitch for 2 hours and 15 minutes of this. And then we watched the scene last week where they're in the car and then she gets on him and rides him. And then, Sergey, their bald Russian. I'd be like, get the fuck off me, bitch. You're skanky, man. You just had sex with Sergey, Yakov Smirnov. I'm not touching you, honey. No chance. That's how my movie would have ended. But this is the difference between me and Sean Baker. My ending would be better, too. You'd be like, damn, man. People would actually laugh. Oh, but you're supposed to feel for her at the end. That's where she's broken. Well, show that to me before the last 3 minutes of the movie. Bad. It's fucking bad. Original score, Brutalist. Love it. Good call. We had that as our number 1 score, along with Substance. These are scores that make the film better, right? That's what we're always looking for. Any element that elevates the film should be winning. Okay, back to September 5th. Editing. Hello, right? Score. Go look. As bad as I think The Monkey is, Oz Perkins, Gretel and Hansel is spectacular from a score, cinematography, and production design standpoint. It's the best score, one of the best scores that year. Okay, it's creepy, it's synthy, it's awesome. Okay, that should have been up. So you got to understand when you hear something that is markedly better than the average work that you get from a composer. You look at a Paddington in Peru. We'll talk about that film here soon. There's a score. You talk about a forgettable score, and it's also all over the film, just oozing and just drizzled all over the place. It's not good, right? He glazed it too hard. Original screenplay, a real pain. Love it. You know, real pain from a screenplay. Hell, a lot better than Nora. So this is all good. I'm very happy. The British have exquisite taste, do they not? Outstanding British film, Conclave. Kneecap, never got around to it, but it did win Outstanding Debut. I might try to get to that. You know, at this point, you know, it's funny. You just maybe don't get to some of these things, right? And I try to get to as much as possible to end up wasting time watching things like Hard Eyes, right? And The Monkey. And I'm like, why? I could have watched Kneecap and maybe gotten something better out of it. Production design, wicked. Yes. Remember, world building, right? So anything that is a fantasy, sci-fi / period piece, that's world building. So that is why you see the 5 nominees that you do in Wicked, Conclave, Dune, Nosferatu, and The Brutalist. Those are all production designs, world building, right? You're never going to have production design in Nora, right? Because it's New York. Let's just go shoot on the street. You don't have to do anything. Production design, Joker, even though it's on the street in New York, it's 80s New York, right? That's the difference, right? Anytime you throw a time period in, you've got to change everything. You got to bring in the old time cars. You got to change the storefronts. That's all production design, right? You guys understand. See, you learn from this. You're learning more from watching however long you've been on, 20 minutes, than you have from watching or listening to any other podcast in 20 minutes, okay? They've probably been talking for 3 hours, and you haven't learned as much as you have on this thing, okay? Sound. Dune Part 2. Look, you back and look at Dune and how many Oscars it won for all those tech. Here's the thing. I've talked about how Dune could have been a bigger awards player this year if it had been held until October, November. The problem with Dune Part 2, it came out back in February, March. Was it March or February? It's forever ago, right? And remember, any film that debuts early in the year, to drag it all the way through is very, very difficult from a momentum standpoint. You have to rebuild that momentum once award season kicks off in September, October. So if you debut in February, March, it's virtually impossible. Now, there are exceptions, and I have always told you exactly why those are exceptions. You look at Black Panther, right? You look at Get Out. You look at Everything Everywhere. Those are all, they fall under the, let's just be straight honest with each other, the DEI / virtue signaling umbrella. So if you are able to fall under that umbrella, then it's easy, right? It just, guys, I'm sorry. I know what I just said might have hurt someone's feelings, and I really want to not apologize for that, okay? Because I'm right. And what I just said is 100% accurate. That's the difference between me and everyone else you bother to even give your time to in this space. I am not going to hold back from telling you the fucking truth. It's exactly what I just told you, okay? Yeah, challengers really got robbed. Remember, early in the year, that was, I believe, April or May. It was one of the two. Was it May? Whichever. Anytime you're on the wrong side of July, you are in trouble. You go back to Oppenheimer. Why did that get there? Because it had the box office. It played forever in theaters. It didn't have to rebuild anything. The problem with Challengers and Dune is that it was so early in the year that obviously Dune was, successful worldwide, $700+ million, I believe, on the second one, right? And you look at Challengers, surprisingly decent numbers for adult drama, right? It's one of the best films of the year. But again, the problem is when it comes out early in the year, it's very hard for people to get re-excited about it, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to reignite the fire, the buzz. And I know for a fact that both Warner Brothers and Amazon both tried with those films. So do not come in here like typical film Twitter and say, well, they didn't even try. They did. Okay, I get all the emails. They tried. They busted their ass. Okay, didn't happen because you're trying to get this thing up the cliff, push it back up the hill, and it's impossible because the momentum's gone. right? So that's Sisyphean, right? You're not going to happen. It's going to roll up and come back down. That's the problem. Rocket Man's another film just like that. If Rocket Man comes out in October, November, you're looking at a Terran nomination. You're looking at that film winning more than just song, because that's a good film, okay? So that, especially Terran for sure. But the problem is early in the year, May, okay? I know what I'm talking about. No one's better. It's why it was the awards ace. We close shop. I'm still forever going to be the awards ace because I'm better than everybody else. I don't need the site to prove it. I'm here. I'm legit. I'm in the house here on MMT. This is my home now. Okay. It's very simple. I like doing this. It's more time efficient for me, and we can have a conversation here. The other stuff is really just for your ego, and I don't have time for that. I've got other things I got to try to get done in this life, okay, including write the script. We're done. We have meetings this week. I'm excited. I'm not kidding you guys. This is going to happen, and you guys are going to be like, this is a good fucking movie. Of course it is. You think I'd write something bad? Do you guys think at this point that it would be bad, something I put? No, you guys know me, okay? When the difference, here's the funny thing. So I was talking to someone today on the way back from playing volleyball, and I was saying the difference between me and everybody else is this world's full of grifters. This world's full of people that fucking talk and they don't back anything up. I am the complete and utter opposite. All I do is back shit up 24 hours a day. Every fucking day, you challenge, I'm going to throw it right back in your face. I'm different than the rest because I have been to fucking hell and back. And once you've been there, you don't fuck around anymore. So that's the difference. I don't talk. If I tell you it happened, it fucking happened. You guys know that by now. Otherwise, you don't think that the haters would be out there dragging me all the time? Oh, wait, well, okay, really? What about all the things I say? Everything that you've heard on this microphone's true. Every fucking thing. Because I do these things. I live this shit. Okay? Not a talker. I'm a fucking doer and a talker. Better, right? The winner for visual effects is Dune Part 2. Good call. Better Man's a very good film. I wish it was in Best Picture for the Oscars. It's that good. It was robbed box office wise. Paramount didn't know what to do with it. I wish, here, you know what? Let me just say this. Paramount, I know that some of your people watch. I have Hollywood insiders everywhere. And I'm not talking about Jeff Snyder. We're definitely not talking about him. We're talking about legitimate people on the inside. And I'm telling you right now, Paramount, if you would have gotten me in to see Better Man a lot earlier, I would have been trumpeting that, and I guarantee, just from sheer will, that we would have had a better outcome with that film. Because I saw it very late, and then I picked up the ball harder than anybody else. I was running with that motherfucker way harder than anyone else, because that's how I do. When I am in support of something, you're going to get undying, complete commitment to the cause, because I believe in the product. I'm never going to say something's great and then never talk about it, because that's bullshit. That's fake. It's like the grifters we're seeing. We're going to get into Elon Musk and Ashley. I mean, good Lord. That whole, can I say, you guys know I'm not conservative or liberal. The whole conservative grifter, it is an entire industry. These people, like Ashley St. Clair, out of nowhere, I'm going to be the MAGA girl. Look, I have 1 million followers, and look, all the simps love me because I'm cute. Not even that cute, honey. Hate to tell you. You're not even that cute. Seriously. If we were at a bar and Ashley St. Clair was there, I'd be like, where's the next girl? Okay, sorry, it's true. And guys, look at me. Do you think I'm fucking playing around? No, that's the thing, right? That's what makes it so much fun if the haters are watching right now, because they're like, he can actually say that. Fuck, I can't. Whew, normally I can nail him because he's a fat Jabba the Hutt bald motherfucker. He's none of those things. He's jacked. He's fucking smart. He's good. I don't know what to do. I guess we just have to let him say what he said. Well, too bad. I just did. Isn't that funny? I just did because I can. That's what makes it so much fun. Supporting actor Kieran Culkin, great call, right? One of the best performances of the year, if not the single best. For me, it's a big supporting performance, right? We talk about screen time. He's in virtually every frame of the film. In fact, he's the first person we see in the film, so you could argue he's the lead. He's not, I mean, yeah, I get it, but if you wanted to flip him, you could. Okay, that's how big this is. So if I'm going to give my supporting actor trophy to something in somebody that is, more essential to the film, that's what I want to do, because it's more, it's a bigger deal, just like Zoe Saldana, right, from Emilia Perez. It's a huge performance. It's the lead. But Netflix wisely slots her supporting, the FYC her there, okay? Because of that, she wins. She's going to win Oscar. We knew that from day one. Everyone's talking about Ariana Grande. The Grande fans are. But anyone who saw Amelia Perez knows she's winning. She's very, very good in that film, okay? And you all are wrong about Amelia Perez. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't get me a billion views. Like, Amelia Perez is the worst movie ever made. Right? I'm sure Gore made 5 of those videos, right? Remember the year RRR was a big deal? He would talk about that film every stream because he knew it was views. How pathetic. Like, talk about a grifter. I've never done that. Have I ever done that? Like, oh, I think that if I talk about RRR every night, I'll get a lot of views. Ooh, let's talk about Blake Lively every night because that's what gets views. I'll talk about it later. But that's not my number one thing. But if I'm running from that mindset of views and grifting and all that shit, what can I talk about tonight that people want to hear? Let's talk about how Captain America didn't do that. Well, it did do okay. But yeah, well, we'll talk about it later. But you guys understand, I don't play with that shit. I'm the real deal. Tired of having this discussion. We're not going to have it again. You guys know that by now. Just based on the title, I thought Better Man was an Erick. Thank you. Thank you, sir. No, I mean, listen, truth be told, nobody puts in the effort like me, especially now that I'm no longer like 30, okay? Nobody is in better shape than me at my age. Very few. There's maybe 5. But, I'm done. Listen, guys, I get it. I know you're like, but I'm in the real deal. I'm the real fucking deal. Because I do the work. If I don't do the work, I couldn't talk like this. You guys understand that, right? If we didn't write the script that's great, I couldn't talk about it being great. That doesn't make sense. When you have the actual goods, you can do this. That's the difference. That's why we just went off on Ashley St. Clair. But no, honey, no. I mean, when I was in my fraternity days, if I was at a sorority party and Ashley St. Clair, I was like, nah, I'm going to pass. I'm going to go home alone tonight. Sorry. It's just the reality of it. Okay. Not to mention, I hate grifters. God, grifters are the fucking worst. They are literally the scum of the earth. Literally, I have no time for a grifter. I have never, and someone said, well, you just hate Nora because it's good for views. Really? Why? What are you talking about? No, I've never, ever gone into a movie and said, hey, guys, let's go ahead and say that this film is good because it'll be views. No, hell no. A few comments on what we just got through here, whether it's Lively and Reynolds tonight at SNL, or we can talk about BAFTAs and Best Picture. A couple comments here before I get into Paddington and Peru. And I want to get in. Listen, it's not as good as the last two. I mean, no surprise. This film opened like weeks ago overseas, and finally we got it here in the States. And I saw it last night. I don't hate the film, but it's definitely nowhere near a 1 or a 2. And I'll tell you why coming up in a few minutes. Bob Dole in the house. I find it hard to care about the Oscars anymore. Brody getting an unnecessary second Oscar over Fiennes, and Kieran sweeping over Guy Pearce and Edward Norton. Well, here's the deal, Bob. I'm going to tell you right now that Kieran is way better than Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce is not good in that film. I'm sorry. Weber's all alone. Guy Pearce acts, right? He's doing the whole, like, come over here, my friend. I'm a rich man. There's that performance rings acty, right? I don't like it. It was the number one problem I had with The Brutalist. I don't think it's not a Razzie performance. It's just not authentic. I've seen Guy Pearce before do things like that, and he's very erratic. And I do not love that performance. So no. Kieran by far is the best in supporting. Edward Norton's very good, but again, remember, the reality is the bigger the role, then you're going to get that. And Kieran's a bigger role than Norton. I like seeing Norton back. We talked about that with A Complete Unknown because he is one of our greater actors that we really don't discuss. And remember, I think a lot of that came down to when he was in The Hulk and he got the reputation of being a dick, and then Hollywood kind of turned its back on Edward Norton, and finally he's kind of regaining footing with Glass Onion and now Complete Unknown. It's good to see Norton back. He made that movie a few years ago that was terrible. He was a directorial thing, Warner Brothers movie. I forget the name of it. It was a period piece in Brooklyn something. It was not a good film, okay? But it's good to see him back. He is, Edward Norton's not a lead. Edward Norton is supporting. That's who he is. He's just kind of like the every guy. Not a really good-looking dude, just kind of average, interesting for sure, perfect in the role he is in A Complete Unknown. That's Edward Norton, right? That's who you're looking for that role. So that was perfect casting. And good to see Hollywood taking a chance on him again. Were the votes for BAFTA submitted before or after the Perez drama? Good question. I mean, I think it feels like the British don't really give a shit, which is nice because ultimately I wouldn't vote for a film based on, who cares? She's in the film, right? And the things she said, yeah, some of that stuff's like crazy. Okay. I'm not defending that, but I'm going to tell you, you don't throw the whole film out. That's what we all do, right? Cancel culture. The whole thing's gone. You're going to ask me, what films have won BAFTA. I wanted to do this. Thanks for reminding me. Good way to segue this thing right back in. BAFTA, let's go back to 2015. Revenant wins. As we know, Spotlight, one of my favorite, talk about a film that is underrated. If you go back and watch Spotlight, you're talking about a film that is, if you want to watch how to direct a film and to remove yourself as the director and almost just let the actors do their thing and then let the score kind of seep way back into the background, it's very skeletal. And that's the beauty of Spotlight. It could have been overbearing and over-directed and overproduced. Instead, it's not. It allows the story just to be front and center. It's a great film, and it should have won Best Picture. So that year, Spotlight over Revenant. 2016, as we all know, Moonlight wins over La La Land, but at the BAFTAs, La La Land wins. Remember, they only have 5 films. And for a time, Oscar had 5 or maybe more, right? So now it's 5 BAFTA, 10 Oscar. I like 10 films. I think it should be 10 films. Every year, you better be able to find 10 films, even a bad year like last year. 3 Billboards is a film that oh my God, one of the most overrated, especially from a screenplay. I remember watching 3 Billboards. I've told you my story at the bar. I'm not going to go into it again. How I basically was ready to go home with this mega fucking hot blonde. Okay. No, I'm not playing. Guys, trust me. All you'll be like, damn. And I threw it all in the trash for one thing. When 3 Billboards came up, I said, holy shit, what an overrated screenplay. The night was done. It was done. At that moment, it was over. Because the gal liked the film. And I'm like, I'm not changing. So if you guys want to know who I am, that's who I am. I will literally throw it all out and say, I'm sorry, there's no way 3 Billboards is a good film. Okay, Shape of Water wins. If you were to ask me that year, 2017, my favorite film was Good Time, along with Ghost Story. Not one of the choices, but clearly those 2 films are the best films of 2017. So for me to even discuss these other films is very difficult. I think Dunkirk is one of Nolan's weaker films. It's still Nolan, all that. But again, for me, Good Time just rocks, right? What a film. So much better than Uncut Gems. No question. Because it's tighter, right? And that's one of the big problems with Uncut Gems. Also, not just leaner and meaner, it also doesn't have all the extraneous bullshit that Uncut Gems has with Kevin Garnett and the NBA and The Weeknd. Because what happened was, right after Good Time, the Safdies were messiahs, and then all these people were like, oh, well, now I can get anybody in my film, so let's get The Weeknd, and let's get Kevin Garnett, and let's get NBA. No, the film should just really have been more scaled down, very much like Good Time with Sandler. Almost remake the film, but lose a lot of that extra bullshit. That script's not great. It's Uncut Gems. I don't hate the film because it's still the aggressive, gritty direction of the Safdie brothers. We get one film from each of them this year, so I can't wait. If they make films how they did together apart, then we get 2 Safdie brothers films this year. Those will be great films. They should be, because they showed me with those 2 films and then films prior. But really, when you look at Good Time, like, man, it's why it's right up here featured on the FYC Wall of Fame here at the MMT Studios. 2018, Roma, everyone thought would win Best Picture. As you guys know, it did not. It ended up being Green Book, which everyone thinks is the worst win ever. Listen, Green Book is not a terrible film. It's not a great film either, but remember, a lot of times on this preferential ballots, it's the film that made you feel the best, and Green Book did, even though I know a lot of the problems with the film, I understand them, but I also understand how it won. So that, again, didn't match up in 2018. 2019, not again either. Parasite does not win. 1917 wins. A lot of people thought that was going to be the winner because it won at Globes, and then bang, Parasite. Parasite's best film that year. Good year. 2019 was a great year. Okay. Irishman, I wouldn't even put in the top 5. I mean, 1917 is more of an exercise in technical filmmaking, right? The one take bullshit, but there's edits all over the place. But right, it's minute by minute, right? It's live for 2 hours. It's got a lot of problems from a screenplay perspective, but it's a technically cool film. Parasite's the best film of the year, 2019. No surprise, that's a good call. I like that. Obviously, it's, I think, a masterpiece again. 2020, Nomadland wins both BAFTA and Best Picture. And if you're asking me that year of those films, I would probably have The Father and Nomadland right there. The Mauritanian, holy shit, like that's insane to even see that there. Mauritanian is not a great film. Jodie Foster is very good in it, but I remember seeing that at a drive-in during the COVID, right? And I remember just going, what? This is an awards film? You guys think this is going, and didn't end up going anywhere except for the BAFTAs out of nowhere. Trials of Chicago 7 is not a good film. Remember, we talked about Sorkin. Sorkin, writer, not director. Promised Young Woman, a film that I'm not very high on. I don't hate it, but I think it comes unglued at the back end, and also because of the tonal shit show that it is. And that gets back to Emerald Fennell not having the ability. When you're going to do a film that has the jarring tonal changes that Promising Young Woman has, or if you look at a Babylon, you've got to be able to nail it. And you go back to Parasite. Talk about jarring tonal changes, right? And initially, I didn't think it worked, but then when Bong brings back the final scene, then you're like, it worked, right? It's amazing. Again, I talk about Parasite all the time. Love, love, love. Whoa, hold on. I'm like, the car's out of control. And then, wow, okay, now we're there. The ending's just that film is just right, and so that deserved to be Best Picture. So BAFTAs, I don't know what they were thinking. 1917, it's a British film. It's Mendes, right? Power of the Dog did not win in 2021, as you guys know. Ended up being what the fuck won in 2021? It's none of these films. Oh my god, it was Coda. How funny is that? No joke. I'm not even. Thank you, Solly. You're like the only person who gets this. This is why you are one of our favorite commenters. And by the way, follow him on YouTube, Solly Streams. When you go and look at those two films, it's not a contest. And so many people get that wrong. It's not a contest. Exactly. Raw, anxiety-inducing. The end of that film, all of a sudden, you're like, what? We're going to roll credits when he's in the back of the car? This is over? I love it. That's my kind of ending, right? But 2021 was Coda. Give the BAFTAs credit for not even nominating Coda. They got that right. One of the worst Best Pictures ever, right? Hallmark film. I remember when that was up for Best Picture, I'm like, what? How? What's going on here? I mean, listen, I don't like Anora, but from a filmmaking perspective, Anora is better than Coda. So there's that. I know, you're shocked that I just said that. 2022, All Quiet on the Western Front did get a Best Picture nomination, but we all know it was Tar that won Best Picture in 2022, right? Is that what happened? It was a masterpiece, so of course it did, right? No, what? Hold on, what? It didn't? Did it win? It won director for Field, right? For sure. No? How about screenplay? Definitely original screenplay. No? What? Okay, all right. So I've thrown out. There's no way in hell that Cate Blanchett didn't win best. What? What? I'm sorry. Who won all those awards? Can you guys? Everything, everywhere. What the fuck? Right? One of the worst ever. One of the worst. Especially, remember, given the competition, Everything Everywhere is one of the worst Best Pictures of all time because you had Tar sitting there. And again, back to when you look at The Social Network, King's Speech, one of the worst wins ever, King's Speech. Why? Because Social Network. It's not just about the film that wins, it's about the film that didn't win. Tar, Social Network, masterpieces. What are we doing? Like, just think about that for a second. If you haven't watched Tar, well, man, you're in for some shit. That's a hell of a film. Like, I was so excited. I don't go to events anymore. When I found out Todd Field was going to be, I'm going to hang out with Todd Field. I'm going to at least talk to him about the score that's not in the film. And he was like, who? No one's asked me about that. I told you guys that story. And Todd was like, it's in there. I'm like, no, it's not, Todd. I've watched the film 3 times now. The score's barely there from Hildur. Don't tell me it's there. She did it, and she didn't use it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, I mean, listen, 2019 was that strong, right? So Irishman was not. Irishman is way too long, right? It needs to be compressed. Every scene goes on too long. And that gets back to Netflix not telling Scorsese, you got to tighten this up. Killers of the Flower Moon's a better film than... Oh, please. Killers of the Flower Moon's a way better film than Irishman. Oh, yeah. No contest. I like Killers of the Flower Moon a lot. Because you got that score, the Robbie Robertson score alone. I know Robertson did the score for Irishman, but it's not, it's not. The score, like that thumping, right? Some of the scenes, just that's some cinema right there. I really like Killers of the Flower Moon. So, yeah, listen, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a great film, and Tarantino rarely misses, right? And you look at Inglourious Bastards, what a film. You talk about Django Unchained, a film that I adore, right? So you look at Tarantino, it's hard. Man, what a year, right? If that comes out now, it wins everything. right? If you put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in this draft, we talk about the best picture being a draft, right? NFL draft. Every year is not the same. Some years you have, 1983 draft class, NFL. All those quarterbacks. Marino was like the last guy picked, right? You look at all those quarterbacks. You look at any given draft year, there's going to be a year that has all kinds of studs in the top 10. And there's other years like I'm taking an offensive lineman who's okay at number 2. That's where we are this year, certainly 2024. You're looking at a weak NFL draft. You're looking at a weak Oscars because it wasn't there. 2022 was a very strong year, and at least Tar was nominated, but man, you can't mess that up. You can't. Gone Girl, I should boot you right now for this shit. I will. I think we should find a new producer, everybody. You guys think, this is not acceptable. This is wholly unacceptable. Let's continue. We got a few more here. Oppenheimer wins last year, as you guys know. It should. It's the best film of that year. When you talk about best picture, you're talking about greatest achievement in cinema. That's how I see it, right? So the greatest achievement in cinema for that year is Oppenheimer. I love Anatomy of a Fall, but in cinema, Oppenheimer, right? Holdovers, love the film. Oppenheimer, cinema. Killers of the Flower Moon, cinema. And I would probably, if you were to ask me which of these films, I would probably pick Killers over Oppenheimer. I love the Oppenheimer score. I love the performances, but I just have an issue with that screenplay. It really just drags on that back third after we get the experiment. Once we get that bomb, right, then we're like, okay, now what? And that's the problem. The film is constructed so strange from him. It's about Oppenheimer, but it's about, right, the trial, about going in there and getting him confirmed. I get it. So that's why I think the film's a more, I don't love it as much as maybe some of you do. But from a cinema, filmmaking, direction standpoint, hell yeah. And score, easy, very easy. Poor Things, hell no. You guys know how I feel about that film. Although I like Kinds of Kindness. So there you go. Turn around and like it. And then this year, Conclave. So we'll see what happens. But as you can see, it's not a 1-to-1 by any means. How come Social Network could not win in 2010 and that awful King's Speech won the movie? Boring. Well, because I can't answer that question. Because it was a feel-good movie and Social Network wasn't. Which is so weird, right? I don't care if a movie's feel good. Doesn't matter to me. My favorite movies, a lot of them are very depressing. Good Times, depressing, right? You look at Parasite, depressing. You look at Up in the Air, depressing. Why is it good? Because it's depressing. Because Clooney doesn't get the girl. Clooney goes to get her and she's married. That's fucking great. That's great. That's my kind of ending. La La Land, why is it great? Doesn't get the girl. We don't want the happy ending, the Hollywood ending, the fairy tale bullshit. I want something weird. I want something that's not expected. That's what we wrote. That's what we wrote in our screenplay. You guys surprised? After I just told you that? Our movie's not uplifting. It's also not super depressing, but it's not uplifting because that's what I like. Because I don't need to watch a movie that's uplifting. So that's the problem, though, Jacob, to your question, long-winded. But the problem is that most people want to watch a movie that makes them feel good, and they don't like a movie that makes them feel icky. Or they have someone like Zuckerberg that is, conniving little bitch. And people don't like that. But for me, who cares, man? That film direction and score and, oh, my God, the edits and the storytelling, right? The non-linear, that film, from a writing standpoint, is sheer brilliance, obviously. And listen, that's what we're talking about. That's the level of greatness that you're looking for. And it's just one of those things. It's forever going to piss me off, for sure. We're still talking about it now, 15 years later. Let's do the MMT evaluation here, and we'll get back to some more comments. It's time for the MMT evaluation. As always, the MMT evaluation is live. We do not do these things taped. We are talking about Paddington in Peru. So let's get ready. Let me cue up the scene we're going to watch here in a second. I want to talk about how this is the third, right? It's a threequel. Anytime you have a threequel, typically what you're going to see is a studio pushing their luck, right? Unless it was a planned trilogy, once we get into that third film, you're looking for trouble because the issue is that what's the reason for this film to exist? Now, if you look at Paddington 1 and 2, they're really made the first film by the first exposure to the world of Paddington in London, right? Him exploring the city, all of that. In 2, that film is 100% made by Hugh Grant, right? Yes, the beauty of, again, Paddington and the innocence and the goofiness and all that stuff. But really, you look at Hugh Grant in that film, oh my God. I mean, one of the best supporting performances ever. I mean, it's that good. And I'm going to get to that in a minute because it's important tonight here as we talk about Paddington and Peru. But the problem with this film is Paul King's not here. Okay. Now, how can you tell? I can tell within seconds. This is a first-time director. And one of the things that made Paddington and Paddington 2 so great is the abilities that are singular of a Paul King. Okay? When he was given that script and said, bring this thing to life along with Simon Farnaby, they did it to perfection. And he has that unique, singular directorial vision that he imprinted upon those films. Here, we have a first-time guy who's done commercials and videos, nothing else. And from the initial scene, Paddington's getting his passport photo, and the score is a little bit weird, and the movie just doesn't even start right. It's just not the way that you really want to enter into it. It just, everything feels just a little bit off because, again, when you're working with a director who's a first-time director, they don't have that skill set. Okay, number one person on any call sheet is the director. I don't care who the star is. The number one person is the director if they have singular directorial talent. And because we do not have Paul King here, we're in trouble. Okay, not in like this is unwatchable trouble, but it's the difference between a Paddington 1, 2, and a 3. And we're about ready to find out another problem with this film. It's Antonio Banderas. As you guys know, Antonio Banderas is the voice of Puss in Puss in Boots. So throughout this entire film, you can't help but see Puss delivering the lines as one of this film's villains. In fact, let's go to a scene here. This is Antonio Banderas trying to figure out where the gold is in El Dorado as they're going on an expedition to find the lost treasure.
So, tell me, young man, why was your aunt so interested in Rumi Rock?
We don't know, Mr. Hunter. The Reverend Mother said she was looking for something.
She was wasting her time. Rumi Rock is just a bunch of old stones.
A bunch of old stones that, according to legend, is the first step to finding El Dorado.
What? You mean... Nice chips.
That's like the best joke in the entire movie. So you're watching it right now. El Dorado, and they're outside of a fried chicken place in London.
He means the mythical lost city. No.
Oh, right.
When the Spanish invaders came, they found all the treasures of Peru, except for one. The most precious treasure of all. The gold, which the Incas valued more than anything else.
Okay, so you can see a little performance. Now, what you don't see in the scene is the decision to give Antonio Banderas' entire family parts in the film. And when I mean that, his past relatives that are Antonio Banderas played as the other relatives. One, in fact, is a woman with Antonio Banderas wearing a wig. So there's like 5 of them, and they keep coming back into the film and saying, you know, trying to, as this alter ego, listen, keep going, be the bad guy. And it happens throughout the entire film. You're like, okay, I get it. Stop. And it just continues the entire time. So you've got Banderas, and you know, it's just, that's off. It's just not that well written. There is a game, Olivia Colman. I mean, Olivia Colman's going to elevate every project, but she is not Hugh Grant. Okay. So I think what you notice when you watch this, especially at the end, if you've seen Paddington, Peru, you know where I'm going here. At the very end of the film, someone we just talked about shows up. And once that someone shows up, you're like, oh my God, this is great. Like, just for a moment, you see the flashes of greatness from 2. And I was like, wow, what a difference one person can make to a film. And as much as Coleman tries here, it's just a version of what Hugh Grant did, only not as good. But it's really not about her not giving effort. Like I say, she's game here. And the finish is nice. I like when they finally get to El Dorado, what they discover, and the emotion, the family back together. There's a lot of that. I just feel like I don't really even like this idea of going to Peru and looking for gold, and Aunt Lucy's been taken, kidnapped, and it's just not what I'd write. And I think that's always going to be an issue when you're watching like the third outing. You're like, why didn't you just stay in London and focus on the daughter and her transitioning to college, and Paddington goes to college with her? That's the movie, right? Why are we going to Peru and looking for an adventure? It's just funny, like my mindset's so different, and that's what makes writing so cool. You can create these things that no one else is thinking of. AI could not have written the script we wrote because it's an individual experience thing. And when I think about this film, I just wish that, again, it would have been about Paddington staying in London and going to college with the daughter and him being goofy in a college adventure like Monsters University. It's a better film. Look, here I am again trying to help the studios on YouTube and X on a Sunday night late. Thanks for being here. And I can't do it. It's too late. The film was already made. Overall, listen, it's an 80%. It's a B-. It's not the worst thing. Audiences liked it. They gave it an A cinema score. I understand why, but it's nowhere near 1 and 2. The fix is you got to reinstall Paul King. You got to bring him back and let him do his thing, his magic. But now he's kind of the man. He just did Wonka. I don't love the film, but I still have so much faith in Paul King. I really blame Wonka on that script, and also Chalamet. Chalamet's not the right guy for that role. I love him as Bob Dylan. It's his best he's ever been. I do not love him in Wonka. So that's the short and long of this film, is that it's just not going to touch anywhere near the greatness of those first two, but I'm sure you're not surprised. I mean, if you had been hearing that and I had been hearing that, then of course I would have walked in with bigger expectations, but I knew overall the reaction was more muted, and it's deserving. Paddington 2 was a masterpiece, should have stopped there. Kuzma, the problem is yes, I agree. The problem is that when you look at the studios, in this case, it's Studio Canal. Remember, this film had a really weird thing. It was initially with Weinstein. Then Weinstein got into the issues, as you guys know. Warner Brothers took it over. And then who had the second one? Was it Sony? Because Sony's got this one. So I forget who the second, but anyhow, it's moved around from different studios. And remember, Hollywood always loves anything that's established. It doesn't even matter. Did it have a modicum of success? Good, let's make another one. It's just easier for them to plug and play another adventure for Paddington, even if this one is just not really the one that I would do. But for the studios, it's easy. What's hard for them is taking a chance on an original film, which I wish they did more often. Because what we wrote's original. I mean, I didn't write a sequel. We didn't write anything based on characters that you guys are aware of. So that's the kind of wish for me, is that Hollywood took more chances on films that were smart, films like Holdovers, films like, anything, Alexander Payne. But you look at, those kind of films. That's what I want to watch, is the grounded, human, based, emotional journeys. That's what I want to see. And not like a faith-based thing that's all kind of schmaltzy. I want to see something that is weird, but yet also grounded. That's the best kind of film. Back to Good Time. Why is it great? Because it's a grounded film, but it's also goes places you have no idea where it's going. That's another great mark of a script, right? The hallmark of a great script is that it's going to do things that you're not expecting. And look at a companion from this year, best film of the year. Why? Because it does things you weren't quite expecting. And even if you know what she is, and I did going in, where it went and the discoveries and the twists, those were cool, and the film is really good. It's my favorite film of the year, no question. Other comments here, and then I do want to get to one other thing from tonight's SNL. If you missed it, it's pretty cool. I mean, we haven't seen him in forever, so I'm about ready to show you something that popped up here during the SNL 50, and it was really nice to see this. I'll answer this question and we'll show it. Sully, what's the worst movie you'd want to see Christopher Nolan remake just to see what he could do with it? I'm going with Cat in the Hat. I mean, wow, that's something else. I'd like to see him remake Coda. Can you imagine? A vanilla ass script like that directed by Nolan, you'd be like, what's happening here? That's what I want to see, some like really lame generic film directed by Nolan, and then see what happens. Here we go. Look, here it is. It's Jack Nicholson, everybody, getting introduced. He actually introduces Adam Sandler tonight. It was a pretty cool moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Sandler.
Yeah, baby! Let's hear it for Jack, baby! Jack made it out tonight!
And actually, I want to play just a little bit, because listen, one of the highlights tonight was very clearly Sandler. I had a chance to see Sandler play at Ohio Dominican, which is a small school in Delaware, Ohio, just north of Columbus, where I grew up. And it was when he was coming up. Sandler wasn't that big a deal. Do you know who I saw at Ohio Dominican on the same stage in one night? Chris Rock and Adam Sandler. How crazy is that? Before they were like as big, they both played Ohio Dominican. I went up with my girlfriend at the time, and we watched, and we were like in the third row, and he did his whole thing. This guy's talented. You know, you can say whatever about all the goofy films he's made, but this song is heartfelt. I'm not going to play all of it, but just to watch a little. If you missed it, this is one of the highlights tonight, without question. It's Adam Sandler with the 50th anniversary song for SNL.
Everyone in this room has something in common. All of our lives were changed by the show. Everyone in this room has something else in common. None of us were allowed to use the little bathroom in Lorne's office. 50 years.
And you know what the thing is he's so nervous, right? They all were. If you watch this, almost everybody was nervous. And when you talk about one of the skits that you saw tonight was about anxiety. They all have anxiety when they go up there. Because, right, the thing is I talk about this all the time, right? When we do a live stream here, it's me just chilling in the MMT studio. I'm not in front of a crowd, right? There's not a vast sea of people. Once you throw that live element of people, it just throws you off a little bit. You have to be used to it. And if you're not used to it, and a lot of these people, you know, listen, they've done it, but they haven't done it in a while. Or if there's someone like Miles Teller jumped up there tonight, he was so nervous, dude. You could totally tell. And I get it. I would be too. It's a different thing, right? They're different muscles. This is a different muscle that I'm exercising right now than me in front of an audience. Two different things. Conversely, someone can be great in front of an audience and not so good in more intimate setting. Okay, this is where I feel most comfortable, and clearly you can probably see that when you watch. But if you put me on stage, I'd be like Miles Teller tonight. I was in Top Gun Maverick. He just was extremely nervous. Overall, I don't care what you think about Hollywood. Maybe some of you hate some of these people. I get it. But let me just say it was cool to see all these big stars that were there and going through the memories of this thing. Were some of the skits bad? Yes. I mean, I watched about 2/3 of it, and then I had to get ready for the show. But this was a fun moment. Seeing Jack Nicholson, again, seeing Ryan Reynolds making fun of the situation. In fact, we'll talk about that here in a second. Again, let's go back and talk about Reynolds and Lively and all that, because I know you guys all love talking about that. And you guys know how I feel about it. We also got to talk about Elon Musk. I think we should talk about Elon Musk for a minute, right? Erick's all-time great script is going to star his favorite actor, Guy Pearce. I don't hate, I just don't, listen, no. Kieran Culkin's the best of the year. All right, so let's talk about Elon Musk. Oh, God, I'm on X. This could be a really problem. Let's just go and load up a page here on X, and let's see what's trending, and let's talk about it. Here's the deal. I'm big on not being tribal. So to see all of these conservative voices all of a sudden be like, well, it's Elon Musk, therefore it's okay that he knocked up some conservative fraud grifter, right? 100%. And the thing is like, I'm not big on any non-traditional family, right? I believe there's a very important role for a father and a mother, right? And sure, divorce happens, but you still stay active with your kids. I mean, hello, divorced. I get it. I've been there. But you still need to be there. You don't if you father a child and then like disappear. Or like Elon Musk. How many kids? 13 now? I mean, Nick Cannon, the same number, essentially. Remember everyone dragged Nick Cannon? Oh, but you can't drag Elon. The hell I can't drag Elon Musk. The thing about Elon Musk is I don't care if he owns X. Fuck off. fuck you, Elon. I'll say what I want to say. I actually like Elon Musk, but I'm just saying, do you think that's going to stop me? I'm not worried about that shit. I don't care. Here's the thing. I have a real problem when you put someone at this high level, you hold them as esteem, and they have shitty morals, okay? Really garbage morals. And let me tell you, Elon Musk, when you do things like have 13 kids from different mothers, you hardly know them, you're not talking to this Ashley St. Clair, apparently, they went back and forth. It's just problematic. Because I understand everyone has faults. We all have issues. I've had issues in my life, but you always try to do the best. I did not father a child and disappear and go, I'm sorry, do I have a kid? Never happened, okay? Trust me, my haters would love to find that, but it hasn't happened. So here's the issue. Ultimately, it's this. I do not want to see two-faced motherfuckers. I can't stand it. It is the absolute lamest, limp dick energy that you bring around where you're, oh, my tribe is so great. I love the right. I love the left. And when one of your members does something that maybe you don't agree with, you still are like, well, it's okay. Or you're quiet. Nah. You're going to say the same shit you said before. You're going to drag Elon the same way you dragged Nick Cannon. You're not going to do, that's it. You must be consistent. You cannot do that shit. Nothing loses more respect quickly for me than someone who is not consistent, someone who is biased, someone who has an agenda. I can't stand it. It's sickening, gross. You are totally unreliable, and it's a big grift. The alt-right is a big fucking grift. You look at a Tim Pool. Talk about an overrated motherfucker. Tim Pool has to, well, first of all, forget the fact you always got to wear a beanie. You're bald, Tim. We fucking get it, dude. Take the beanie off. You're fucking bald. No one cares. You're not a particularly good looking guy. Who fucking cares? You know, you've got a big show. People seem to love you. I'm not saying the guy's dumb. I'm just saying he is another guy who has figured out, how can I work my way into this way to make cash by saying what you guys want me to hear, so that all of a sudden I've got the views, I've got everybody. Because if I come on, you guys know that I'll turn around like a snake and say something you're like, holy shit, because I don't want to play that game. I'm never going to play that game. I'm going to piss off half the audience all the time. That's what I want to do, okay? Not by choice, but because that's what it is. You're not going to get me coming on here saying, this is great, this is terrible, because my side thinks it's great. No. Okay? It's always an individual evaluation of the situation. I don't even have politics entering. Yes, we all have our own, kind of biases, right? Of course we do. But I don't ever let those interject into the situation until I get a good read on it. And the fact that Elon Musk is not getting dragged for this whole situation, and Ashley, this grifter out of nowhere, coming up and saying everything that her tribe wants to hear. Oh, she's kind of cute, and that's as best as I'll go on that. Kind of cute. That's a no further. We're not going any further than that. Kind of cute. Well, then look. Oh, she's great. She's one of us. Fuck off. She's a fucking grifter. I mean, it's amazing how some of these people even rise to a level of 1 million followers. You look at them and you're like, why do people listen to you? Because you can tell it's an act. It's all for show. Why do you think I drag Gore all the time? Gore used to be a version of me. Now Gore is, oh, well, everything's woke's terrible. Let's get some views. And that's just so gross. It's just fucking gross. And the problem is once you go down that route and you try to reroute, you can't, because everyone who's listening to you will get pissed off if all of a sudden you say, Captain America wasn't actually that bad like I did. What? He just said it. You just said Little Mermaid wasn't the worst thing ever because as a black mermaid? Oh my God, I can't watch this guy. Then leave. I don't care. But that's the problem, is once you get that and you become that guy, you have to be that guy and filter everything through that fucking lens. And it's sad because I'm not going to do that. Elon Musk is just as fucking loser as, cut the stream, Elon. I don't give a shit. You have no fucking morals, dude. And the fact that people should be dragging you like Nick Cannon, okay? Oh, great. Spread your seed to all the different women. Wow, what a paradigm of a good human being. I don't care what you've been doing for this world. If you're going to do that shit, we're going to judge you on that, bro, okay? You should. Because who you are is spoken through your actions. And I'm sorry, same guy wants to have transhumanism, right? Let's combine humans with AI. Is the stream going to get cut off soon? Good. Let it. I don't care. That's what we're going to do, right? Because that's what we all need. We don't need to be turned into cyborgs, right? Look into it. It's all there. It's all there. So this guy with the shining morals is going to lead our way, okay? Yeah, and by the way, you can still do good things, right? You can look at that DOGE and what he's doing with that. And he is it Doge? I don't watch the political shows. I just know sort of what's going on. I don't want to live that shit 24/7. But some of the stuff that's going on and going in there and looking at all this wasteful spending by the government, amazing, right? But we're separating again. Separating. Why do people have such a hard time separating the person from the thing, from the action? They're all separate things. Go back and watch one of these evaluations. I don't go into an evaluation and say, well, you look at direction, acting, cinematography, score. You separate the elements. You don't look at it all as one thing. The elements are all there. We've had plenty of films that this element's good, and then one's bad, right? You look at Babylon, good filmmaking, good acting, terrible screenplay. Anora, really strong direction. I like the direction of Sean Baker, terrible screenplay. Element, right? So the same thing. Elon Musk, love you going after accountability in government and spending. Do not like the fact that you fathered 13 kids with however many different women. What kind of morals is this? What is this shit? You're not going to be there for your kid. This is bullshit. Sorry, is what it is. If the stream's still on, it's still on. I don't even care at this fucking point. But I'm never going to capitulate to one side because, oh, they're my people. I would go after my best friend if I thought they did something terrible. I wouldn't disown them because I'm not that guy. But like I said, with Ryan Reynolds, I've been very hard on Reynolds. Let's get to that because this is enough of Elon Musk. I mean, who knows? Things will get yanked. Elon, just, dude, be a better guy. Be a better person, man. Because ultimately, the funny thing is in this world, you could have $10 billion, $50 billion, $100 billion, whatever the fuck he's got, billions and billions. But if you aren't a good person and you're not leaving behind good things, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Your legacy here is about leaving an impact and motivating people and leading them and doing good things. Okay, we've all seen throughout the years plenty of flawed people who have done great things. But you want to minimize and mitigate and keep that limited. And the problem is you keep seeing this over and over. And the fact that people aren't dragging Ashley St. Clair and Elon Musk for this whole situation, you're just a total hypocrite. You're a hypocrite if you're not. It's that simple. There's no other way to put it. Let's get ready to wrap here. We're at over an hour. I'm going to do Lively and Blake. What I like about Hollywood is nobody's two-faced. I mean, this is why I can't exist here either. I have to accept the fate that I'm just not going to end up being for everybody, obviously. And I never want to do a show that is for one side or the other. Some days I'll probably be on the side you're on. Other days I'm not going to be. And it's because I'm trying to be objective and ultimately a journalist. And I said, I did that before. I was a journalist. I mean, yeah, it was TV news. But still, whenever I did a story, when it was sports, whether it's news, whether it was dealing with movies, whatever it may be, it was always objective. The number one goal was to come in and be fair to everything and everyone. And as I say that tonight, let's talk about Blake and Ryan. Let's wrap that out here tonight on this Sunday night, because I will go back. For those of you who've never heard me talk about this, I'll just make it very simple. The first thing I love, and we led with this tonight, the fact that they're there. Say what you want about both of them. It's fine. Like this, we're extracting an element. This is a great play tonight. This was very, very, very smart of both Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively to show up. What I really like too, and we'll show it again, we showed at the beginning if you missed this was a moment, and I watched it live, and I go, this is exactly what I tell him to do. So whoever advised him to do this tonight, this is how you should be playing the game at this point, Ryan Reynolds. Listen to this.
Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
And they're just like, no, because, right? Great. What have you heard? He's aware, and you've got to call attention to that. It diffuses the situation. The court of public opinion is so far down on Reynolds and Lively for good reason. Okay? I have said repeatedly that if you ask me my take on the situation, it's pretty clear that both of them conspired to take this movie out of Baldoni's hands. Okay? Now, it's spectacularly backfired on them, and Ryan Reynolds is now fighting for his career. But the first thing that they had to do is get out of hiding, because when you're in hiding, people are like, oh, look at them. Like I was saying, they know they're losing. They feel bad. You've got to just gut up and get back in the game. And they are. So that's that's one element here. Okay. But get back to what I said. You look at the lawsuit, you look at what they've done, and you look at what the probable outcome of this whole thing's going to be. I'm going to tell you right now, I said it the other day back on Thursday night. I'm going to tell you again here tonight. Unless both of these guys, unless Reynolds and Lively have some shit in their lawsuit, have an ace in the hole, if they don't have that card to throw here after all this shit, they better settle. And they better settle soon. Okay? So this is step number one. Get back in front of the cameras and act like things are normal. Now, behind the scenes, I want you to get a deal done. Go back to the end of Social Network. We watched it the other night. We can watch it again because at this point I've already played so much copyrighted shit, doesn't matter. But you go back and remember, Zuckerberg's sitting there with the lawyer and they're talking about hammering out a deal, and she's like, settle. It's going to be a speeding ticket in the grand scheme of things. Ryan Reynolds should, at this point, based on all the facts I'm looking at on Baldoni's countersuit, they should fork him. They should just send a ton of cash his way. I said 100 million. Fine, whatever. 20, 50, 100. Whatever the number is, whatever makes, start with 25. If he doesn't want it, go to 50. Okay? Because that 100 million is a speeding ticket for Ryan Reynolds. They don't even have to admit that they did anything wrong by giving the money. That is the admission. And then once he receives the money, if I'm Marvel, they're part of this. Marvel's going to come in and offer Baldoni a film because that will get the heat off of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. You let him direct. We all know Marvel films just really are all about almost a ghost director. It doesn't even matter who directs them. So you look at bringing in Baldoni, let him direct whatever, some smaller thing like a Shang-Chi or a Marvels, and then you get him, you'll get some publicity from that. And then what I would also do as part of that settlement, when you give him that much cash, I'm going to ask for Blake Lively to be back in It Ends With Us too, because I think it's the best thing. Because then it'll show that somehow they came back together. It'll get your wife back. You need to have her back, because whether you agree with what she did or not, she has 4 kids at home, okay? And again, this is going against y'all. Weber's doing it again. Remember, for me, yeah, they tried to destroy a guy. Fucking terrible. I'm not defending what they did, but I'm telling you that she's got to be a mom for her 4 kids. And if she ends up getting bombed by this, then you're going to say, well, she should have known better. Okay, I'm just telling you, I'm trying to make it a win-win for everybody. And if you give Baldoni the money, Marvel gives him a movie, and then Blake Lively gets to make part 2 because it just makes sense. You don't want to recast. If you recast, it's going to be weird. Some of you are going to say, because here's the reality. It's going to take time to make the movie, and if this time around Blake agrees to just lay the fuck off and gets that in writing, knowing that she's not going to say shit, right? It's like when you get in trouble, you're like, okay, I'm not going to push my luck again, right? You just got a speeding ticket. You're not speeding again for like a long time. Then over time, but when they get ready to make the movie, she's not going to do anything because she's like, I don't want to be back in that same space. That's the win for everybody. That's what I would do, and it needs to happen fast because this was the first step tonight in getting kind of that momentum back. So now Reynolds needs to send the cash. They need to send it. I would just say, what do you want? We fucked up without saying that, and we just want to settle. We want to settle. Justin, what will it take for you to drop this? Right? There's always that meeting of the minds. You get the 2 attorneys together. They both want to make money, right? The attorneys make money from this, from it obviously continuing, but obviously they get a cut of the settlement. So if Lively and Baldoni offer the settlement, they've got to pay their lawyers their fee, but the lawyer's going to get a cut of that, his lawyer, right? So he's going to make money. He's going to be cool with that. Here's 100 million. I'll take 20. You get 80. Okay, or whatever the break, right? And that's fine. Everyone's going to be happy. And then most importantly, Ryan Reynolds gets paid back in Deadpool again, because I'm thinking about this from all angles. Yeah, I know a lot of you want to see both of them get flamed and thrown out and tossed in the garbage, cancel culture. I get it. But I'm just here to tell you that the benevolent Erick here tonight is telling you that I want to see everybody come out of this as best they can, because it's bad. And I admit it looks really bad from one direction. Not the band. But so that's what I want to do. So I think that's fair. It's equitable. Yeah, it's going to cost some cash, but again, in the grand scheme of things, speeding ticket. All right, let's do the final here tonight. It's going to be if you've never been here for the end, if you got a comment in here, come get it right now. It's time for the MMT comment close. Excuse me, it's been over an hour. By the way, did I mention I have a little bit of a cold? Can you even tell tonight? Probably because I'm more laid back. You guys are like, I can feel like a sore throat. Tomorrow I'm not going to be able to move. I'm going to have like 120 fever. But tonight was good. I think it's still Baldoni that has the ace in the hole. It's why Ryan looks like a zombie. I mean, he does. He's lost a lot of weight, clearly, right? He's lost so much weight because of the stress. I mean, look at the picture. You can see even him, in the audience. Here, look at the picture. Back to the picture again. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks really almost emaciated. Hold on, let's go there. He looks very, very thin. Okay. All right, let's do the comment blast closeout. I'm going to play the track that I like tonight. It's called Next to You by Romain Garcia. We'll play it again on the way out of here. Comments if I didn't get to it. I'm all by myself, so if I didn't get to it, Gone Girl went to bed. I don't blame him. I've been on over an hour, so this is way past bedtime. It's almost time for me to try to get better for tomorrow. By the way, when we come back next, will probably be Thursday. I don't even think there's anything out. The Monkey I already saw. We'll just do a Thursday night stream, whatever's been happening in the news, box office, that kind of stuff Thursday, unless something pops. And if it pops, get the notifications on YouTube, Midnight Movie Talk, X. If you follow me or you're watching right now, you'll see it pop up whenever we are. We like to be live and like to be live fast if something happens. Like if there's a settlement here in this case, I'm up on it the second it happens. It doesn't take long. And I think it should happen, right? 100%. Because if it doesn't happen, it's going to be bad for everybody involved. And my point is we're trying to get this thing resolved, get everyone happy, and let's just forget about this shit. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on. All right, come on. Comment blast closeout starts now. If I didn't get to your comment, I'm going to get to as many as possible. Thanks for being here, MMT. And here's our track. DJ Webslinger bringing in the house music. I love electronic music. Always have. Going back to my rave days in Columbus, Ohio, where I was DJ Webslinger. We had illegal raves down on Front Street. And what a blast, man. I'll tell you what, I've had a good life. I might not be the richest guy, but I have some memories and some shit. And you know what it's all about? Get out and do it. That's what it's all about. Nike was right. Open comments. Let's go. Thanks, Soup Can. Really appreciate it. Blake Lively is a terrible actress. Not going to miss her work. Kuzma, you can't be like that. We're trying to be non-judgmental here tonight, and you just weren't. That's fine. It's comments. You're allowed to say whatever you want. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. They suck souls. Well, maybe. I don't know. Gone Girl's a dude. Yes, Gone Girl's a dude. Whatever, you got to let Ryan go. His career's it's not over. It's not over. John, I know you asked this before. It's great. I get to it right here. So where do I get my kits? You know where you get your best kits? You get them directly from the team. So tonight, this is Huesca from Spain. I ordered it directly from them. It was like $90 sent here. Because the jersey is usually like $50-$60, and then the shipping's like $30. So $90. I mean, that's what the cost of these things are, like $90. There always are. I mean, this one was from Kitbag. This is another good one. Kitbag is a great site. If you guys know Kitbag, hold on, let me make it bigger. This is my Bayern Munich Authentic. I got this from Kitbag. You got to get it from the real deal. Do not get it from some random person like selling them on Instagram. You'll get fakes. Don't do it. Everything you see here is authentic. All this shit's authentic. I've never worn a fake kit on the show, and I have over 100 now. This rack's here. It's all over the place. I got to clean this place up. Baldoni going to make Reynolds and Lively pay a street price. Of course he is. He's got all of the juice right now. He's got it all. Sydney Sweeney getting all the scripts from now canceled future break. Yeah, right. She would be good in that role, but I don't want to see someone else take over. I feel like we can still win here. I'm all about, let's try to see if we can win here. Baldoni makes it ends with Ironheart. Maybe. Oh God, Ironheart. Kids today get hit with computers and woke agendas compared to 90s kids. Yeah, we had fun in the 90s, didn't we? The 90s were awesome. We were having raves in like 93, 94 in Columbus, Ohio. It was unbelievable. I'll never forget that shit. I want to make a movie about that one day. Maybe that's our next script. 99.999% of people you're complaining about. I like Trump but hate Musk. Good. You're welcome here. You can go both ways. We like that. You're bi-political. Universal has all sequels this year. Black Phone, Megan, Five Nights at Freddy's. Let's hope that's better. All of that. All right, that's the end of our song here tonight. Thanks for being here, guys. If I didn't get to it, I'll try to get to it next time. Thanks for being here. Again, MMT is off the air. I'm going to go have some honey and try to get better for the next one. Thanks for being here. As always, live City of Angels, we are out. Peace.